Welcome back to the Joey Orsborn Show, everybody. I'm your host, Joey Orsborn, and today we have a special guest here, Mr. Tyler Allen from his podcast, Yinzer's at the Point, which is a podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins here. And we're going to talk a little about the Penguins and your Steelers this week here. So welcome to the show, Tyler. How are you?
Doing great, Joey. Thanks for having me on today.
Alright, so first thing I want to talk about here is the Pittsburgh Penguins, who are on, right now, a 6-game losing streak, I think? Or did they get to 7? I think.
Yes, so we are on a 6-game losing streak and have lost 7 out of our last 8 games.
Yeah, so not very good here. So I thought, what better thing to do than bring on the guy who has his own Penguins podcast here. So let's talk some Penguins here. What do you think's going on here, Tyler?
For me, it's age and the lack of speed and physicality that the Penguins are bringing on. Unfortunately, the injury curse is coming back to the Penguins this season, and you got Letang dealing with the passing of his father and his lower body injury. Josh Archibald's out. Petrie's still out right now. Jari's now out. So injuries are killing us, but what's killing us now is our lack of speed. I mean, Brian Dumoulin and Jeff Carter, sorry, it's time to go. You're done. Because Ron Hextall has tore this team up, giving up assets like Brandon Tanev, Jared McCann, players like that, Evan Rodriguez, another one. And then, you're not doing anything, and there's just a whole bunch of problems that the Penguins have to fix.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you here right now. They have not been playing good hockey. I think a lot of it is some players not playing up to what they should be, specifically Dumoulin. Though I am liking Ty Smith. He is looking good, so that's good to see. What are your thoughts on Ty Smith here?
He's looking terrific right now in this run with all the injuries that are going on. Quarterbacking the power play, even though the power play has been struggling as of late. Definitely, I mean, he just got his first goal as a Penguin the other night in Vegas. And, he looks like he belongs. He's a young player who can absolutely beautiful puck handler, and his skating ability is great, and he brings that speed that is very much needed to the Penguins' blue line.
Yeah, I agree here, definitely. He's done a great job so far here. Now, that makes us start to wonder here, what about some of the other guys down in Wilkes-Barre? Should they be coming up here soon? Guys like Pauline. Guess I would say Hollander, but he had a skill injury last night, so probably not him for a while. But guys like Hollander, Nylander down there. What are your thoughts? Do you think they need to start getting caught up here?
Yeah, absolutely. Your bottom six has been struggling so hard, especially that third line, and now the fourth as it's being broken up because of injuries that's happened. But just calling up players from the AHL to the NHL, it brings your team a lot. It brings you guys a lot of momentum, kind of. It kind of feels like the same situation as the 2015-2016 Penguins. When Wilkes-Barre went up on a 15-1 streak. They got Mike Sullivan up here to coach, and then boom, just like that, Brian Rust is in the NHL. Connor Sheary being brought up, Scott Wilson, Matt Murray. Players like that, it gives a lot of speed, a lot of young energy into that locker room. And it's what the Penguins need to I would love to see guys like Poland come up. I think it's time for Alex Nylander to come up and shine in the NHL, because it makes this trade pointless when we acquired Alex Nylander from Chicago last year. If you're just going to waste his talent in the AHL, then why do you even bother making that trade? But again, Hollander would have been a good one, but I'm hoping that he's doing well now after his scary hit into the boards last night. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. But it's just we need youth desperately. We need the speed and the physicality back in the Berg.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree here right now. I think it's a little too physical and not enough speed here. So I agree. You need to get those young skaters out there, get some things, get some goals there or points. Just anything you can do to positively affect the game. I know definitely Pauline, I'm very high on. He like what he's been doing. He's looking well. I'll say that much, at least from what I've seen. Ty Smith, another guy I'm very high on, has done well so far. POJ, I guess he's not much of a prospect now because he has been here up for the whole year. He has continued to do a spectacular job, and I'm very excited with him. But also, another thing here now, in some other news, the New York Rangers have been having some issues with their former first-round pick, Alexis Lafreniere. So, Tyler, what do you think here about the idea of the Penguins possibly going out and getting Lafreniere?
I would like to see Lafreniere in the Berg, but right now I think it would be the price tag for Lafreniere, and I don't know if he'd be much of a fit in Pittsburgh, if I were to completely be honest, because the one thing that the Rangers have done very poorly ever since they started rebuilding is their player development. It's screwing over some of these players. Guys like Elias Anderson, Alexis Lafreniere, players like that. And like the only really one that the development did really well was Philip Cheichel, the second line center. And that's pretty much it. Like the rest have been like kind of thrown. Like it's like they won out of New York, Valtteri Kravtsov, Niels Lundqvist just got traded to the Stars before the season started. So, I don't think the Penguins should go after a guy like Alexis Lafreniere, in my opinion.
Yeah, the thing about that I would say is I think the problem is they don't really develop on the Penguins do. So I would say, also, putting one with like Crosby or Malkin. It's a lot different. Like, the thing about New York is they have great players there, especially in the wingers that they've brought in. But their centers aren't that good. I'm not a big fan of their centers. Like, they're not Crosby. They're not Malkin. They're not, Stamkos. They're not one of the top guys, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right on that. I mean, I still remember when we were struggling to sign Letang and Malkin back in July. And everyone's like, well, Malkin's not even that good anymore. Let's go out and get Vincent Trocheck because he's a Pittsburgh guy, and he's probably the best option at the center position. And if you look at the goals average in the NHL, Vincent Trocheck's one of the worst. And Malkin has been far better than Vincent Trocheck this season. So it's obviously the right decision on Hextall to bring Gino, but to keep Gino, keep that core three in the Berg, but yeah, I don't know what else to say on that.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, this is a young guy. The Penguins need young players, especially at the winger position here. So, seeing that, we don't know if they're going to trade him or not, but, if they would, right now, I don't think the price tag's going to be that high due to the fact that he hasn't really done anything in the NHL right now. I don't think he's done enough to, warrant being traded for a first-round pick. Now, I would say a decent prospect package and maybe a second-round pick is probably what you're going to have to give up, but I would say, I would consider that a fair offer for Lafreniere at this point. The problem is we have to see if the Rangers are willing to trade. So I don't know if that happened, but if that does happen, if they're willing to trade, do you think that's a smart move?
I want to disagree with what you'd think as a trade package, because you got to think here. Lafreniere is 20, 21 years old right now, so he's still relatively young. And for a first overall pick, he still has that chance to develop. And maybe a change of scenery is all what Alexis Lafreniere needs. In my mind, as much as I'd love to see him in a Penguins uniform, I don't think that he would be the best in Pittsburgh right now, especially what's with how Mike Sullivan is playing these guys and Ron Hextall not wanting to go out and make the moves.
Alright, so my next question here for now is, trade deadline wise, what do you see the Penguins doing here?
Well, my top goal would be to get rid of Brian Dumoulin. I don't care what you have to do, get rid of him. He's terrible. And I get he's a good guy and Mike Sullivan loves him, but he is hurting this team. We could have won so many more games. But Brian Dumoulin's making mistakes and it's hurting him. I mean, he just hasn't been performing that well for us. I would fix the third line. That's a big thing. I mean, I'd get a third line center and move Jeff Carter to the wing because Jeff Carter was just playing some of his best hockey because he was on the wing, because Mike Sullivan moved him to the wing and put Teddy Blueger up to the third line. Now you're putting him back at center. I mean, sure, what are you going to get out of Jeff Carter? A face-off one every now and then? I mean, he's a good face-off guy, but he's definitely not... he shouldn't be a center. Even flip-flop Jeff Carter and Teddy Blueger. Make Teddy Blueger your third-line center. And the third line's been a problem. Danton Heinen's really struggled this year. Kasperi Kapanen's looked better. As much as I'd like to get rid of Kapanen at this point, what might be best is give him more ice time. Move him up to the second line. I would love that for Kapanen. And then kind of would trade his, kind of boost up, his trade value, if you know what I mean. Because honestly, at this point, we would have to give away a prospect or a pick on top of Kapanen or Dumoulin or whatever, just to get rid of him. And another big problem I'd see right now is Jake Getzel. He hasn't scored a 5v5 goal since November 5th. That is absolutely terrible for a guy who's playing with Crosby all year long, and most of his goals have been on an empty net. So I'd like to see, too, why don't we demote Jake Getzel down to the second line and bring up Jason Zucker? Because Zucker and Crosby's done well together, and everyone seems to play better with Malkin. So I'd like to see that happen. Maybe you can go out and acquire a top six, but to me, I would fix your bottom six.
Yeah, so you agree. So you're saying right now basically fix the bottom six.
Yeah,
now, I don't
pretty
really
much.
agree on the Gensel thing here. I think right now, problem is everyone's going through a struggle right now, and the other thing too of Gensel is he has been dealing with an injury this year as well. He has been off and off with some injuries during the off season, so that could also be playing a factor. But yeah, no, definitely, I agree. Definitely got to help the bottom six. But what do you think about them? The possible idea of bringing in a guy like Brock Besser or someone like that to come in and help out.
I would love Brock Besser on the Penguins. I'm rooting for that move. But the question is, your top six right now is you got Getzel, Crosby, and Raquel, and Rust, Zucker, and Malkin. That's your top six. Because Brock Besser's a top six player. I want to ask you, Joey, who would you move down to the third line if the Penguins make a move like that?
I think it's probably Zucker there, honestly. But then again, I think what happens is the West is also not been performing well, so it would be one of the two, I would say. And I think Raquel would probably get moved down to the second line. I think that's who would fall at the first line. But I think Brock Besser and Sidney Crosby would be very fun to watch for. I think it'd be a very good matchup, and then hopefully, if Gensler having a little bit of a rough patch, give him more chance as well, because the team's got to worry about not only Crosby, but now Brock Besser as well on the other side. And by doing that, you give Gensler more opportunities to get goals as well, which I think it's something that benefits a lot of people. I think benefits the team a lot. And I think really the bottom six, I think the main thing is if they call up their prospects, I think a lot of the problems would be more resolved.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And a player that I would think that has really been missed because of injury is Josh Archibald, in my opinion. And I'm glad I can eat dirt on this because I absolutely hated the Josh Archibald signing. And it turns out to being one of our best signings of free agency. Honestly, he's been a really good player for us. I'm pretty sure he leads the team in hits, too, but definitely a great fourth liner, great penalty killer, and yeah, that's all. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, no, I've definitely enjoyed watching Orsborn too. I think he's had a great season, and there's a lot of interesting pieces on that fourth line as well. I know in the Montreal Canadiens trade of Petrie, we also got Pauline. He hasn't been awful, but I've been wanting a little more out of him. But like, he's still a player that interests me a lot. Like, I think he could give something to this team. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I get what you mean with Ryan. It's Ryan Paling. He has struggled as of late, but again, like you said earlier, everyone's been struggling as of late for the Penguins, and like just at the Winter Classic, going with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen, and leaving a guy like Ryan Paling as a healthy scratch, it just doesn't make much sense to me. Because, Ryan Paling, he's got grit in his game. He's a young player, and he's a great piece on that fourth line when he plays with Bluger and Archibald. So, sitting him as a healthy scratch, it's like, what are you doing, Mike Sullivan? Like, can you coach? Like, are you okay? It's just stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the problem with that Boston game was, though, they're a very physical team, and right now, if I would tangle the defense is very weakened, so I think he was trying to get as much protection as he could get against Boston that game. I think that's why they didn't have the one forward. Which, honestly, it does make sense. Like, if you watch Boston, they love to get to the net, very physical, and they score a lot of goals. So, it makes sense to have an extra defenseman now. Was I a fan of it? No, I don't think it's the best decision, but, you can see why it was a decision that was made. It wasn't, some, stupid, dumb thing he did. It was, he had a reason to make it. It wasn't a bad reason. I would say he did have good cause to do it. It just wasn't the best move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing with that game, too, is what killed us in that game was, I think, first off, I think the Penguins outplayed the Bruins in 2 of those 3 periods of play, but both of their goals that they scored were both exactly the same thing. You had your guy go down the wing, make a move in front of the goalie, and they slid it right in the net, and there's nothing DeSmith does on that. And that defenseman there needs to stop him from going across the crease like that. And on both of those goals, there was one player who did it, and that was Brian Dumoulin. That's Brian Dumoulin's guy in that, and he chose to take a pass away. You open that door open for them, they'll take it. I mean, they're one of the fastest teams to 30 wins, and they're already at 30 wins. They're the best team in the NHL. So, again, those mistakes like that is really what killed the Penguins in that game.
Yeah, no, I agree here. So, let's move on from some hockey here to some football here. So, big weekend in the NFL coming up here. Today we have some big games here. We have Chiefs and Raiders at 4:30 here. I'm going to give the Chiefs on this one. The Raiders, I think they're finally done. I think they're going to start a little bit more rebuilding after this season because Carr finally looks like he's done in Las Vegas. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
I got the Chiefs winning this one too. Again, you'd think, the Chiefs would sit their starters for this one, but they have the number 1 seed in jeopardy here in this game. And with the Raiders' struggles have been in the quarterback position, Derek Carr hasn't been the best this season, but he also hasn't been the worst. And, it doesn't make much sense, in my opinion, to sit a quarterback like that. I mean, I guess your playoff hopes are over, so you can do whatever you want at this point. But this was a team this year coming in where I was thinking, they have a chance to win this AFC West. And they've been extremely disappointing. And the Chiefs, even though they lost so many key pieces, they still are one of the most dominant teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Definitely, Chiefs are probably one of the most dominant teams in the AFC here. But you gotta think about the Raiders, benching cars. It seems, I'm not gonna say stupid, but, like, no offense, but he's a lot better than Jared Stidham. Like, Derek Carr has been the least of their problems. Like, it's not his fault. The scheming has been questionable. There's been some lack of talent in the offensive line. There's been a lot of injuries. I know of Darren Waller, he got hurt a lot this year. But, like, it's also, like, a lot of the other things, too. Like, he really can't control, like, he can control, like, I know in the game Christmas Eve, like, there was not much he could really do. Like, he had bad plays, but, like, the weather was so bad. It was, like, like, a lot of his plays, you could see why they happened. It's because the elements were affecting it. Like, you could tell that whole game. Like, Pickett had the same exact issues as well. Of course, Pickett had less of them than Carr, but still, like, a lot of the stuff, like, it's not his fault, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not his fault. And I'm sure, I don't know how used he is to playing in the cold weather. I know Kenny Pickett's pretty much played in the cold weather, all of his life. Guy from New Jersey, played at Pitt for 5 seasons. He knows how to deal with the cold weather. Derek Carr, on the other hand, pretty much playing his entire career on that West Coast. I mean, he plays in the desert now, so I guess the elements were a big factor when they did play the Steelers. But, he didn't play as bad as I thought he would, as the Raiders controlled most of that game.
Yeah. No, I feel like a lot of the coaching has been fun. Like, Josh McDaniels, I think he's a horrible head coach. Like, he had a team on offense that had Derek Carr, you really had Adams, Devontae Adams, you had Darren Waller, you had Hunter Renfrow, and you have Josh Jacobs at running back. Like, and I think Rodney Hudson's their center. Like, that's a pretty good offense. Like, that should be a pretty good offense, if you know what I mean, here.
Mm-hmm. And their defense is really good, too, with your star Max Crosby on your defensive line. I mean, again, like I said earlier, I thought this team had a chance to win the division.
Yeah, honestly, this team here has been, like, one of the biggest disappointments in the NFL. I'm not going to say the biggest because they have another team in that division takes that cake and it goes a little something like, let's ride. Well, of course, Broncos rode into a cliff, fell off a cliff, broke their backs, and then fell off a second cliff, and then probably a third cliff as well.
That is the perfect variation of what sums up the Denver Broncos season.
Yeah, pretty much. So next game here, we have Titans and Jacksonville, the battle for the AFC South. Honestly, this one, I'm going to give Jacksonville. They have the momentum. Titans have completely lost momentum. They have a lot of injuries. They're basically depending on Josh Dobbs. He's a guy I like a lot, but Trevor Lawrence has just finally shown off who he is. Like, he's finally coming together for Jacksonville. Honestly, I was hoping it to be a little sooner. Like, they've had the flashes, and now they've finally got the pieces together here. He's finally getting used to the NFL level. He has an actual NFL head coach now, and not Urban Meyer. He now has a good one, in my opinion, in Doug Peterson. I think they take this pretty easily and win the AFC South. Tyler, your thoughts?
Again, I'm going to agree with you here on this one, too. I do think Jacksonville's taking it. They've looked very well. They've won, 6 out of their last 8 games.
Yeah,
they've been on a hot streak, especially since Tennessee all but has struggled this year at the quarterback position. I mean, Malik Willis hasn't done really much.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill really struggled this year. And, there wasn't much to cheer about as a Titans fan. Because, Derrick Henry had an off year, I thought. And then you got pretty much a brand new wide receiver room. So, again, it's just been all but struggling in Tennessee this year.
Yeah, and I agree with you, though. I think Henry has been, the only thing that's worked for them this season. I think other than him, they've had massive struggles. But yeah, no, I definitely agree for here. So let's move on to some of the Sunday games here. We have Buccaneers and Falcons. I'm gonna take the Buccaneers. That's an easy win for the Bucks. Falcons are pretty much a disaster by this point.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
would. Excuse me, I'm sorry,
I go.
but I would agree with this one. What the Bucks have locked up the division now. I'm pretty sure at this point.
Yeah, they've clinched. Yep.
So again, and they're definitely not getting any of the top 3 seeds with an 8-8 record. But again, the Bucks was a team like I would think would be so good this year, and they've struggled so bad. Of course, Tom Brady hasn't been himself since the divorce, but again, it's time for Brady to hang it up after this year. I know that there's rumors going around like, he might go back to the Patriots for one more year to end it, and I'd be okay with that. But it's time to hang him up. I can't see the Buccaneers making it past the divisional round, at least in the playoffs, considering of the opponent of how good the teams are in the NFC this year. So, but yeah, and then the Falcons, absolute disaster this year, and yeah.
Yeah, I think I will say about the Bucks' struggles. I think a lot of it is their line. Like it's injured to hell and back, basically. And like when you have an O line that's that injured and that bad, like the quarterback's not gonna do that good. Like I'm sure Brady's age is finally starting to factor in a little bit, but I think the O line's the other big problem though. Like that's why I'm a little hesitant in declaring Brady kind of done yet because it's that off. Like at first, but like I was thinking a couple weeks ago, like I think there was the Christmas game, like. Geez, this O-line's horrible. And then I realized, wait, that's probably why he's been so bad this year. Just because he's getting, wall up half the time. And then also, too, you have a new head coach as well. Like, Todd Bowles. Like, he's been a head coach before, but, this is his first season after a while head coaching. So, there's been some things they got to work out. But, yeah, I don't know. I think, honestly, the Buccaneers are going to surprise people and bring him back for another year. If he doesn't retire, I think Brady will be back next year. But I think they're going to be working on that O-line as well to try to fix it. Because, I think that's been their main problem is the O-line. I don't think it's been Brady, really. But that's just my opinion. So, next up here, we got Ravens and Bengals. So, that's going to be an interesting game here. I'm going to go for the Bengals, though, because the Ravens' offense is literally dead right now. Like, they just, it's just J.K. Dobbins at this point.
Yeah, I would agree. The Bengals are going to win this one in, I wouldn't say dramatic fashion, but it's going to be a kind of a blowout. I mean, Lamar Jackson's still out, and, with Lamar Jackson in the lineup, it's him and Dobbins pretty much because their wide receivers are terrible. They haven't done anything all season. It feels like, and yeah, like you said, it's just J.K. Dobbins and Lamar. And if Lamar leaves Baltimore at the end of the season, what do you do? Like, you're kind of screwed.
They're done. Yeah, I honestly, I think I think Lamar's gonna try to get out of there as soon as fast as he can. Like they should have paid him, but they haven't yet. Mm-hmm. Even if they do, by this point, he's realizing. This isn't the best spot for him. I think he honestly is going to leave, but he also going to live at the franchise tag. So my bet is they're going to franchise tag him, and then he refuses to play on the franchise tag. And either one or two things is A, he gets traded, or B, he sits for a year like Le'Veon Bell and possibly ruins his career, or he could also play on it. But I don't think you play on a franchise tag.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. The only thing I would want. Is if, they franchise him, which we all know they will because he is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. But my only request, Baltimore, here is if he chooses not to play under the franchise tag and you trade him, please trade him to an NFC team. I don't want to play him more than once a year, send him across the country. I don't want to play him, but, with Lamar, it just doesn't seem like he wants to play in Baltimore. And, again, Cincinnati, they're going to come out and probably wipe the floor on Baltimore.
Yeah, definitely.
Joe Burrow. has solidified himself as a top 5 quarterback already in the NFL. And, Jamar Chase is really good. T. Higgins, I'm hoping he plays well, even though with the DeMar Hamlin situation. But, Cincinnati, kind of getting screwed out of the game here. But, I think Cincinnati's going to destroy Baltimore.
So I'm going to do a couple of these next ones quick because they really don't matter. Panthers, Saints. I'm going to go with the Panthers. How about you?
I'm going Saints with this one.
Saints, yeah, they've been on close. It can go either way, I think, that game.
I'm going to disagree with you this one with the Saints.
Yeah. All right, so Giants, Eagles. Giants are resting their starters. Eagles are playing for 1 seed still. I think Eagles win that easily.
Yeah, I would agree. The Eagles will probably win this one. I'd like to see the Giants win this, though, because I'm a big Brock Purdy guy, and for San Francisco, if they win and the Eagles lose, the 49ers get the number 1 seed. Yeah. So I'm kind of rooting for the Giants on this one, but, I think the Eagles will probably win this one.
Yeah. All right, so Cowboys, Commanders. I'm going to go with the Cowboys here. They're trying to see if they can get the NFC East here. What do you think, Hill?
Yeah, the Cowboys are going to win, trying to, again, win the NFC East because, they have a shot at doing that this week. And just Washington just been such a disaster this year. I mean, their team is falling apart, especially with the ownership. And, I don't, another huge thing on this too would be last week you bring in a new mascot.
Yeah,
it's so dumb. It's a fat pig. What was his name? Yeah. Major Tuddy, I think is what it is. What is that thing? Yeah. What is that thing? What are you doing?
It's the scariest Stealing McBean.
Yes.
So, nothing tops Stealing McBean on levels of creepiness. Please get away. And oh dear God, what is that?
Absolutely.
Stealing McBean gives me the creeps. I'm going to be honest with you. He gives me the creeps.
No, Stealing McBean, I mean, he's probably the worst mascot that the city of Pittsburgh has.
No, of all time, I think, yeah.
Of all time, you think? I don't know. Have you seen Gritty, the mascot of the Flyers? I mean, boy.
He's funny, though. I don't like that. I find him funny. Yeah.
That guy looks like a serial killer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he looks like a serial killer, but he's actually a very funny guy. Yeah.
But the Cowboys win this one 100%.
Yeah, Cowboys win. All right, Texans, Colts here. I'm going to go with the Colts. How about you?
Yeah, the Colts will probably win this one. Because if I were the Texans here, I'd sit your starters just to make sure that you lose this game.
So you
get the first overall pick.
Yes, you get place, yeah.
So Colts all the way.
Cardinals, 49ers. 49ers won that easily. They're playing for the 1 seed. They win easily.
Yes, absolutely. I would totally agree with that one. The 49ers absolutely wiped the floor in this one.
All right, so Vikings, Bears. Vikings win that easily. I say, how about you, Hill?
Yeah, the Vikings are going to win this one to improve the 13-4 in the year. I mean, I guess the Bears have the chance at first overall here. I guess if the Texans win and they lose, I'm pretty sure.
First overall.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the scenario for the Bears to get first overall.
Yeah.
I would be okay with that because obviously the Bears aren't going to take a quarterback because they got Justin Fields. So they're probably, I don't know if they'll take a defensive end or not.
I think they take Will Anderson. I think either way they're taking Will Anderson or Carter.
And I guess this would benefit the Steelers too because
helps them out massively because then it gives them basically a first-round pick.
Yeah, the 32nd overall pick.
Yeah, it gives them a first-round pick. Yeah.
So it's Chase Claypool hasn't done anything for them at all since this trade.
I don't know if they've been using him though. That's the other thing. It's are they really using him correctly? I don't know. We'll have to see that.
I don't know. Well, they also have yet to win a game either with Chase Claypool.
Well, there's some questionable stuff going on over there too right now. It's really just Justin Fields right now. So Chargers, Broncos. I'm gonna go Chargers. Russell Wilson stinks. Let's ride. to a 4-13 record this season when we thought they'd be making the playoffs. How about you, Tal?
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on this one too. The Broncos again have been a disaster. Let's just say the Broncos haven't been riding their way into the playoffs.
Exactly. All right, so now here are the games that actually matter here. Rams, Seahawks. I think the Rams are going to pull upset here. I think Baker Mayfield's going to wake up feeling dangerous, and I think they're going to get a win here. How about you, Tyler?
I would like the Seahawks to win this one, or excuse me, I'd like the Rams to win this one, but I have Seattle winning this one. But again, I'd like to see the Rams win this one just because the Lions-Packers game is an 8:20 kickoff, and that gives that game meaning for both teams. Because if the Rams win that game, then whoever wins the Lions-Packers games makes the playoffs. And
I think the Packers, either way, if they win, they make it in, actually, which is crazy.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if the Seahawks win or...
but it matters.
So the Packers control their destiny here in this one.
Pretty much, they control the destiny. Alright, so here, let's go Patriots-Bills. I think the Bills are going to utterly cream the Patriots. They hate New England for passion. It's shown the last 2 years with all the blowouts they've done to them. Like, it's payback for the Tom Brady era. And they're also playing for DeMar Hamlin this week. I think it's going to be an utter rout. What do you think, Kyoto?
Yeah, absolutely. The Bills are crushing them. As Steelers fans, we want them to crush them.
Okay, let's go Bills Mafia right now.
Yeah, Bills Mafia, the best fans in the NFL, behind your Pittsburgh Steelers fan base.
I don't know about that. There's some better fans out there than the Steelers fans. I'm a
do,
Steelers fan, but...
I would like to class myself under Bills Mafia because they're just such a great fan base.
Yeah, they're great. They're great people too. They donate a ton of money. Which also Alan's grandmother died. A ton went to the hospital there. And then with the sort of more Hamlin thing, that's been we've all seen the donations. I think it's $8 million now.
Oh yeah,
it's been
the support.
I know I donate a little bit there to it because I think that's more to everyone than just Bills Mafia, but still.
And the Bills are still playing.
What's that?
And the Bills are still playing for the number one seed here. Even though they got screwed out of the game, they're still playing for the number one seed in this game with the Chiefs' loss. And that game's going to bring meaning. I mean, I don't know what you saw, what the Bills did to their field, but the 30-yard line, the 3 and the 30-yard line, they put a blue outline on it for DeMar Hamlin. And that's just so cool.
I think the Steelers did that too. I think they did theirs in blue and gold because of Pitt, I think. But I think they also did do that as well. Yeah. So I think most of the teams actually are doing that this week, but still, it's great to see that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the Bills win this one in easy fashion.
Yeah, pretty much. Next game that actually matters here. I'm going to go Lions-Packers here. I'm going to go for the Lions. I think they're going to pull an upset on the Packers.
I'm rooting for that to happen,
Yeah, I think we all want to see Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs.
We always see the Packers in every year. The Lions have been, I'd say, an irrelevant team for a while. They've actually done really well this year. I'd love to see them make the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so now here's the one that really matters before we get into the big one here. Jets-Dolphins. We have Skylar Thompson battling out with Joe Flacco. I can't believe I'm saying this. But yeah, this is a Week 18 matchup. I gotta go with the Jets here. Skylar Thompson, I watched a little bit of him play against the Patriots. He was utter trash. And Joe Flacco has played some decent games for the Jets this season. I go with the Jets. How about you, Tyler?
I would agree. This is going to come down to a defensive battle, I think, in this one. And, I'm hoping all what Joe Flacco has on his mind is getting a sandwich named after him at Permane Bros right now. I'm hoping that's what he has, what he's but thinking about for this one. Same with Josh Allen. Because why wouldn't you want a sandwich at Permane Bros named after you? But yeah, I got the Jets. I'm hoping this one happens. This is the game I'm worried about.
Yeah, this is the one that's concerning. The other one's not as bad. This is the scary one.
Even with the Patriots controlling their destiny here, Um, yeah, the pay. This is the scary one, just because the Jets have just been so inconsistent
Yeah.
lately. And again, I'm taking a trip to Permane Bros to get the Josh Allen and Joe Flacco sandwich if the Steelers make the playoffs.
Yeah. And here's the last one, the last thing we're going to talk about here today. Cleveland versus Pittsburgh in at Acrisure Stadium. Most likely for the Marbles for the Steelers here. I'm going with the Steelers here. Deshaun Watson has been an utter joke so far in Cleveland, and Kenny Pickett has, last 2 weeks, rose to the occasion, and I think we're going to see it again this week. I'm going with the Steelers. How about you, Tal?
I'm going with the Steelers here. Of course, I'm going with Steelers here just because, we're still in the hunt for the playoffs, and that's insane to say considering how bad of a start we had.
Yeah, 2-6. I didn't even think we'd even be to this point.
And so much is on the line, I think, in this. I mean, the Penguins, excuse me. The Steelers have not had a losing season since 2003. We're 8-8 now. We lose, we don't have a 500 season. We win, and we do. So, as a Steeler fan, I want Mike Tomlin to still be above 500 record, and with TJ Watt, since we've had TJ Watt, we've been 7-2. Kenny Pickett's been doing really well. As long as the offense can stay consistent and the defense plays like they did against Baltimore, it should be a very easy win for the black and gold.
Yeah, I agree. That too, and also Najee Harris has recently been on an utter beast here. That's last couple of weeks has just been insane. He's finally looking like Najee again. I think that injury really hampered him at the beginning of the year. But ever since that bye week, every single week he's been getting better and better. And now it's to the point where he's back to being that bully, just goes at people, just jumping over people. He's looking like who he drafted finally again, which is great to see. And I think he's going to have a repeat of last year when the Browns came to Heinz Field to play the Steelers. I think he's going to repeat and go off for around probably 130, 140 yards.
Yeah, absolutely. Najee Harris has been insane again, like you said, since the bye weekend. He's looking like a really good starting quarterback for this team. And, between him and undrafted rookie Jalen Warren, our running back room is set pretty much with these two being our running backs. And then our wide receiving core has gotten better Pat Freiermuth as your tight end, absolutely insane for the Steelers. And here, I got a question for you, actually, Joey.
Yeah.
So, since, the offense has done better, it's still very inconsistent. Do you see Matt Canada still getting fired at the end of the season?
Yeah, he's getting fired. Even last game, he had some pretty bad play calls. Yeah. Now, Matt Canada, the only way for the Steelers to continue to develop and for Kenny Pickett to continue taking the next steps to become the franchise quarterback do not involve Canada. He has to be fired. I don't see any other way that he can stay. There were multiple games that his play calling has been questionable and cost them the game. I know there's also been locker room issues. Week 6, just the Buccaneers, Baltimore got a little mad at him. Was after they won, he's wasn't because of you. He was yelling that. So I think he's been a problem, and I think he's going to definitely get fired. And also, if you look what's out there OC-wise, there's some nice options Frank Reich. I don't think he's getting a head coaching job, but I think he's getting an OC job, and I would love it if he would come down to Pittsburgh, And honestly, I would wonder here is the DC going to stay as well. I know it's just been his first year, but the defense has been kind of disappointing. You got to wonder, so you do have to, and I'm sure they want to keep Brian Flores, so I do wonder, are they going to fire him and make Brian Flores the new DC or something like that? That's nothing you got to answer to here. And I honestly, if I'm the Steelers, I would really consider doing that, because I think Brian Flores is a kind of a guy you want to have as a prominent coach on your team if you can. And I'm not a big fan of find out what the current DC has been doing.
I agree. Brian Flores, just recently coached the Miami Dolphins. That is a guy you want to stay on your coaching staff. And if you want to move, I really haven't seen the defense being much of a problem as much as the offense has been this season. But if it's, you got to do what's best for the team at the end of the day. Getting rid of Matt Canada is nice. I'm tired of seeing the jet sweeps. They never work.
Well, if you don't use them as often as the Steelers do, they'll work. The problem is the Steelers love to do them very, very often. If you do maybe once every couple games, it probably will work. And especially if you have a lot of who does it. Say if you have Deebo Samuel, it makes sense then if you have someone like Deebo Samuel. But if you don't even have a lot of receiver that really does it that well, you shouldn't be doing them so often as the Steelers do it. If you know what I mean.
Especially it's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, that's
2-yard screen pass or some type of 2-yard curl route or something.
What does he think he's getting out of the screens? What does he think he's getting?
What are you doing? You're just getting yards to push them back farther, so they gotta drive down the field more. There's nothing. What are you doing? You get your receivers to the first down marker. It just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about does it here for our show. Tao, thanks for coming on. We'll hope to have you on here again soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody.